All right, so today we're talking weather. It's that classic conversation starter.
Right.
But have you ever thought about how much more is going on beneath the surface?
Hmm.
Like today, we are taking a deep dive
Yeah.
into how a few simple words about the weather can reveal a lot more than you might think.
It is fascinating how we use weather talk as like this social lubricant,
Yeah.
but it can be a window into our emotions and cultural backgrounds, even our psychological states.
Wow. Okay, that has my attention.
Yeah.
So we have some source material here
Uh-huh.
that digs into all sorts of interesting vocabulary,
Right.
going way beyond, just hot or cold.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I'm a sucker for like finding the perfect word
Sure.
to describe something.
Oh, absolutely. Mastering a nuanced vocabulary can like elevate your communication. Like imagine telling a friend about a trip. Instead of saying it was hot,
Right.
you could say the humid air hung heavy,
Yeah.
making even standing still feel like a workout.
Ooh, I can practically feel the sweat dripping down my back.
Right.
So it's not just about sounding fancy.
Right.
It's about like creating a shared experience.
Exactly. And, it goes even deeper than that.
Okay.
Research shows that people subconsciously link weather with their emotional state.
Wow.
So when someone describes a sunny day as gloomy,
Uh-huh.
it might hint at something more than just their opinion of the weather.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like the weather becomes a metaphor for how they're feeling inside.
Right.
Now, I'm curious about how this plays out in like everyday conversations.
Yeah.
Our source material has some common weather questions and responses.
Uh-huh.
For example, someone might ask, how's the weather today?
And you could respond with something like, it's crisp and sunny, perfect for a bike ride.
Okay.
But notice how even a simple response like that can convey your mood.
Yeah.
You're likely feeling energetic and upbeat.
Right. It's subtle.
Yeah.
But those little details make a big difference.
They do.
And I imagine there are cultural differences too, right?
No, absolutely.
In how much people chat about the weather.
In some cultures, like in England, it's almost a national pastime.
Wow.
It's a way to break the ice and connect.
Yeah.
But in other cultures, it might be considered trivial or even rude to dwell on the weather.
So being aware of those cultural nuances can help avoid misunderstandings.
Right.
Okay. I am really intrigued by this role-play dialogue from our source material.
Okay.
It's a conversation between two friends creatively named Friend A and Friend B.
Uh-huh.
And it shows how weather talk can be so much more than just like surface-level chit-chat.
I'm all ears. I always find it fascinating.
All right, so the scene is set.
Okay.
Friend A is on vacation somewhere tropical,
Uh-huh.
while Friend B is stuck at home dealing with less than ideal weather.
All right.
Let's jump right into their conversation.
Okay.
Friend A says, hey, how's the weather back home?
Even the tone of voice there sets the stage, doesn't it? You can already sense that Friend I is enjoying themselves.
Totally. Now, Friend B responds, it's been raining nonstop, gray and dreary.
Interesting choice of words, gray and dreary.
Right.
It almost sounds like Friend B is projecting their mood onto the weather.
Right now, Friend A continues, oh, no, that's a bummer here. It's absolutely glorious, sunny, warm, and a gentle breeze.
Notice how that description isn't just factual.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like a subtle boast.
Yeah.
It highlights the contrast between their experiences.
You're right. It's like they're saying, wish you were here,
Exactly.
without actually saying it.
And that's where the psychological aspect comes in.
Okay.
Friend B might start feeling envious even if they're not consciously aware of it.
Okay, this is getting really good. Let's hear how Friend B responds to that idyllic description. What do you think they say?
Knowing human nature, I think they might say something like, lucky you, it sounds amazing.
You read my mind. That's exactly it. Now, I'm dying to hear what Friend A says next. This is where things can get really interesting.
Yeah. This is where we see how, like, even casual conversations about the weather,
Wow.
can have these underlying currents of emotion.
Yeah.
It's like a subtle dance of
Yeah.
one-upmanship and envy, all veiled in, like, seemingly innocent weather talk.
So true. It's
Yeah.
like they're both aware of the subtext.
Right.
Even if they don't explicitly acknowledge it.
Exactly.
Now, I'm really curious to see how Friend A navigates this.
Okay.
Do they lean into that subtle boast? Or do they try to smooth things over?
Well, according to the source material, Friend A says, I know, right? I really needed the sunshine. It's been a long winter.
Ah, so they acknowledge Friend B's feelings.
Right.
but still manage to emphasize their own good fortune.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance.
Exactly, and it speaks to the complexity of human communication.
Yeah.
We're constantly trying to convey information, manage impressions, and navigate social dynamics all at the same time.
Okay, let's rewind for a second. We've been talking about the emotional undercurrents of weather talk.
Huh.
But what about the practical side? I mean, knowing how to accurately and vividly describe the weather can be super useful,
Yeah,
especially when you're traveling or trying to understand a weather report.
absolutely. It's like having a toolkit
Yeah,
for describing the world around you.
right.
And the more tools you have, the more effectively you can communicate.
Right. It's like having a whole palette of colors to paint with instead of just black and white.
Exactly.
So how can our listeners start building their weather vocabulary toolkit?
Yeah.
Our source material has some great tips for this, right?
It does. One suggestion is to pay closer attention to how weather is described in books,
Good.
movies, and even song lyrics.
Mhm.
You'll start to notice all sorts of interesting and evocative words that you can add to your own vocabulary.
That's a great tip. It's like immersing yourself in the language of weather.
Yeah.
And speaking of immersion, our source material also recommends actively practicing describing the weather in different situations.
Right.
It even has some fun challenges to help you do just that.
I love this.
It's like a workout for your descriptive muscles.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. So let's try one of those challenges right now.
Okay.
Expert speaker, would you mind setting the scene for us?
Of course, imagine you're walking along a beach at sunset.
Okay.
The sky is ablaze with color. The air is warm and salty, and the waves are gently lapping at the shore.
Okay.
How would you describe this scene using vivid and evocative language?
Okay, let me see. The sky is a canvas of fiery hues blending seamlessly from orange to pink to purple as the sun dips below the horizon. The air is thick with the scent of salt and seaweed, and the gentle rhythm of the waves creates a soothing soundtrack to this breathtaking spectacle.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Thanks.
You really captured the essence of that moment.
It's amazing how just a few well-chosen words can transport you to another place and time.
Precisely. And that's the power of descriptive language.
Yeah.
It allows us to share our experiences with others in a way that evokes emotions and creates a sense of connection.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired to try another challenge.
Yeah.
Expert speaker, give me another scenario.
All right, this time, imagine you're high up in the mountains.
Okay.
Snow is falling softly, blanketing the landscape in a pristine white.
Yeah.
The air is crisp and cold, and everything is perfectly still.
Ooh, that sounds magical.
Yeah.
Okay, here goes a hush. It's fallen over the mountains as snowflakes dance gracefully from the heavens, draping the landscape in a pristine white cloak. The air is so crisp and clean, it feels like you could taste the silence. It's a scene of breathtaking serenity.
Amazing, you've painted a vivid picture with your words.
I'm really starting to get the hang of this. It's like learning a new language.
Yeah.
But instead of words, you're using sensory details to communicate.
That's a great way to put it. And just like with any language, the more you practice, the more fluent and expressive you become.
So we've talked about the emotional side of weather talk,
Uh-huh.
the practical applications of descriptive language, and the importance of practice.
Right.
But what about the cultural aspect?
Yeah.
Earlier, we mentioned that different cultures have different ways of talking about the weather. Can you give us some specific examples of that?
Of course, for example, you mentioned the English love of talking about the weather.
Right.
They have a wide range of expressions and idioms
Yeah.
that reflect their fascination with the ever-changing skies.
Uh-huh.
But in some Native American cultures, weather is seen as a powerful force that should be respected and even revered.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about the words themselves.
Right.
It's about the underlying cultural beliefs and values that shape how we perceive and talk about the weather.
Exactly. And those cultural differences can lead to some fascinating variations in language.
Okay.
For instance, in Japan, they have a word komorebi, which refers to the sunlight filtering through the leaves of trees.
Wow, I love that.
It's a beautiful word that captures a very specific and evocative image.
It's a reminder that there's so much beauty and nuance to be found in language,
Right.
especially when it comes to describing the natural world.
Absolutely. And those subtle differences in language can really enrich our understanding of different cultures and perspectives.
So as our listeners are expanding their weather vocabulary toolkits,
Yeah.
it's also important to be mindful of these cultural nuances.
Right.
What might be a casual comment in one culture could be interpreted differently in another.
That's such an important point. Cultural sensitivity is key, especially in today's interconnected world.
All right, let's take a step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From the subtle psychology of weather talk
Uh-huh.
to the practical benefits of descriptive language.
Right.
What are some key takeaways you want our listener to remember?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is that weather is so much more than just a topic for small talk.
Yeah.
It's a powerful force that shapes our lives, influences our emotions, and connects us to the natural world.
Right.
And by mastering the language of weather, we can deepen our understanding of ourselves, others, and the world around us.
Beautifully said. It's like the weather is this universal language that transcends cultural boundaries.
And just like any language, it takes practice and attention to truly master.
So keep those weather vocabularies sharp. Stay curious, and don't be afraid to experiment with descriptive language. You might be surprised at what you discover.
I couldn't agree more.
It's amazing to think about how something as simple as the weather can have such a huge impact on our lives and how we
Well,
talk to each other.
It really is. It speaks to the interconnectedness of everything you know.
Yeah.
From our emotions to the natural world.
Right.
It's all intertwined.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to throw out a final question to our listener.
Right.
We've talked about describing the weather and understanding its cultural nuances, even its emotional impact. But what about its influence on our behavior? How does a rainy day, a heat wave, or a blizzard actually change the way we act?
That is a great question to think about. There's a whole field of research dedicated to understanding how weather affects human behavior, like our productivity levels to even our social interactions.
I bet there are some fascinating insights there. I know for me, a sunny day can instantly boost my mood and make me feel more outgoing, while a gloomy day might make me want to curl up with a good book and stay inside.
Exactly. And those seemingly individual responses can have wider societal implications.
Right.
Think about how extreme weather events can impact entire communities, leading to changes in everything from transportation patterns to crime rates.
It's a reminder that we're not just separate individuals, but part of a larger ecosystem constantly interacting with and influenced by the world around us, including the weather.
Absolutely. So as you go about your day, pay attention to those subtle ways that weather might be influencing your own behavior and the behavior of those around you. It's a fascinating lens through which to view the world.
What a great takeaway.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up, I want to encourage our listener to keep exploring the fascinating world of weather and language. Pay attention to the words you use, the cultural context, and the subtle ways weather shapes your experiences.
And remember, the next time someone asks you about the weather, don't just give like a generic response. Use it as an opportunity to express yourself, connect with others, and share a little piece of your world.
Until next time.